So last time we saw great dragon body suddenly loomed. The dragon body guarding the impenetrable void. She, the dragon, adversary of the slow struggling dawn. She will oppose the coming of dawn. She will not allow the dawn to appear in the void. Dawn, of course, stands for the spiritual light, the light of the spirit in the void. That will not be allowed. Defending its ground or tortured mystery. Tortured mystery. What a phrase. It trailed its coils to the dead martyred air and curved fled down a great slope of time. This is what we saw last time. Now we are moving to the next section. It is a longer section than what we have seen just now. But I think relatively it is an easier section. Section 1 was a very tough section. Section 1 was a little tough section. This one is a little easier. At least let's hope that it is easier. So we can move little fast also, perhaps.
Why? Because it's easier, we have to move fast.
We can move a little fast also.
It's better to
Go in your own way. Okay. Yeah. Now, this is a very unusual section. And one really wonders what is the connection of this section with the storyline. What is the purpose it is serving? What it is there for at all? But then, although it is not a tortured mystery, it is certainly a kind of charming mystery. It casts a spell on you. Charm in the sense of spell. It casts a kind of spell on you. So it is a spell actually. Now, the spell is like a net which is thrown around you, and it is a kind of a magic under which you are held. And you start dreaming, you start imagining most marvelous things in the world. That this could happen, that could happen, all those things you see. Therefore, it is a kind of a dream twilight also. Dream twilight of the earthly realm. It is what one might call a magical spell which is cast, an illusion which is spread around you. It is what the occultist would say, Indra Jala. I don't know if you heard of the Indra Jala, the net of Indra. Indra throws his net around you, God Indra. It is a kind of that Indrajal. Very often in the tradition, in the Puranic tradition, when a spiritual aspirant, a rishi who has done great tapasya, is allured by Indra, is offered all kinds of gifts, all kinds of luxuries. Okay, you can have these apsaras, you can have these ladies, you can enjoy with anybody whatever you like. The whole idea is to prevent that aspiring soul to enter into heaven. If you are able to withstand that spell, if you have qualified yourself sufficiently, then you can enter into Indra's world of real beauty, real joy, real charm. So, this is in that sense the net of Indra, which is what we are going to see in this section. Here, of course, it is not in the sense of Indra who is throwing the net around the aspirant soul. It is in the world of death itself that ideal is seen. Savitri has ideas of something beautiful happening here. She wants the divine possibilities to express themselves in this creation. But according to Yama, he will show you, look, this is what your imagination is. Do you believe in this? Do you think they can become real in this world? So that is the kind of a spell he is going to throw on around Savitri. There is a morning twilight of the gods. So there is, of course, early morning, light is there for the gods, of the heavenly possibilities, of what? Miraculous from sleep, their forms arise, and God's long nights are justified by dawn. Miraculous from their sleep, there stands for, of course, gods. There is a morning twilight of the gods, miraculous from sleep, their forms arise. So they are themselves coming out of the sleep, because this is the world of dream, twilight. So there is a sleep, and therefore the dream is there. Of God. From sleep, the forms arise of these gods, and God's long nights are justified by dawn. Now, this God is, of course, different than these gods. The forms of the universal powers which are operating here are these gods, universal deities, universal powers. This God is the creator God, the transcendent God, the Supreme Himself. So, this God, therefore, this is G capital, and this is plural, gods. And God's long nights are justified by dawn. So, why this passage to the night? Well, the justification is that later on you are going to enter into the world of dawn. So, all right, today you are living in misery, in suffering, in the night, in the darkness, but don't get disappointed. There will be happiness, there will be joy, there will be beauty, there will be love, and that will be the dawn, which is beauty. So it is this God's night. In other words, this God has created night for a purpose. For a purpose. So don't get immediately disappointed. Don't worry about things. It will happen. There breaks a passion and splendor of new birth. Splendor of new birth. That is the promise of this God. That is the dawn which is prepared by this God. That is the promise of new birth. Birth in the powers of the Spirit. And you in visions stray across the lids. Lids means eye, because it's sleeping, open out. You wing. Now this is a very peculiar phrase. You, colored wings. You winged visions. So the visions are you winged. The dreaming deities look beyond the scene and fashion in their thoughts the ideal worlds sprung from a limitless moment of desire that once had lodged in some abysmal heart. So it is the desire which is really present in this creation, at the bottom of the creation. And it is that desire, that urge to be here, that urge to be here is what is prompting all these things to happen. Now, dreaming deities, all these gods which have been dreaming in the night and fashion their thoughts, their ideal worlds, they create ideal worlds, sprang from a limitless moment of desire. In fact, that is the crucial line. Why these deities fashion these worlds? Because there is a limitless moment's desire that once had lodged in some abysmal heart. See, although there is night, although there is inconscience, although there is darkness, in it is lodged the desire. In it is lodged the desire. Desire to express the powers of the Spirit in this void, to create the worlds of beauty, love, joy in this abysmal situation. That is the desire. Now, sprang from a limitless desire, moment of desire. Actually, it is the desire which is there at the bottom of things, which has made possible for the evolution to occur. It is because I want to grow in spite of all these things here. Yes, I am here in the nothing, in the zero, in the void. It is all dark and all that. Still, I want to grow. That is the desire of something which is lost there in the void. And it is that which prompts every action. The desire is the one which compelled the mortal birth of Savitri. 5.1. 5.1. A worse desire compelled her mortal birth. How did it compel worse desire? This worse desire is a very weak entity here in the enormity of night or the void of all that inconscience. The worst desire is a very feeble desire. It cannot sustain itself against all these powers. Therefore, that worst desire has to be strengthened. Some kind of a yogic tapasya has got to be done to carry this worst desire to the Supreme. And when it is taken to the Supreme, and when the Supreme accepts it, then the mortal birth of the divine power occurs. In fact, all those 11,000 lines of part 1 of Savitri are in the context of this worst desire, this desire being taken by Yogi Ashwapati to the Supreme Mother, to the Supreme Divine Goddess. All this tapasya is going through all these planes of consciousness, through all these worlds, taking them to the divine goddess, and then he offers that prayer to her. Look, this is the worst desire which is lingering there in the void. You had to answer it. You had to respond to that worst desire. And therefore, it compels her mortal birth. Unless you take the mortal birth, things cannot happen here. The world's desire cannot be fulfilled here. So, as I said last time, she is compelled by Ashwapati, and in response, she accepts it. Both, I might compel you, but you have to still accept it. She accepts it, and then she condescends to pass the portal to the birth, that is a death. She comes down as Savitri, and part 2 onward it begins. So you have here limitless moment of desire, the entire echo of creation. The echo of creation, of evolution, is kind of compressed in one single phrase. So if you had to explain limitless moment of desire, you have to explain the entire part 1. 11,000 lines. So that is the power of compression of poetry. So what is here in 4 words, limitless moment of desire, what is here in 4 words? I don't know whether even 4 live divines or 400 live divines or 4 million live divines can really bring out what is there in one single phrase here. You see? Sprang from a limitless moment of desire that once had lodged in some abysmal heart. So he has put everything in one sentence, in 2 lines he has put everything. That once had lodged in some abysmal heart. Now here also again, how has that desire sprung up? That desire has sprung up because the divine himself has plunged into the void. The divine himself has, when there was the void created, then the horror of that creation, in order to solve it, the divine himself plunged into it. And that is what the mother calls Satyavan. He is the first permanent avatar. And it is his desire to come up from that. Some abysmal heart. He is now, what we have got in the story of Savitri, Satyavan in the grip of death. He has put himself there. Past was the heaviness of the eyeless dark, the darkness we do not see. Because now heaviness, because he is going to describe the twilight. So the heaviness of dark is becoming less, and therefore the twilight is coming into picture. And all the sorrow of the night was dead, surprised by a blind joy with groping hands, like one who wakes to find his dreams were true, into a happy, misty, twilight world, where all ran after light and joy and love. She slept. Savitri. There, far off raptures drew more close. So all those things, happiness which were there so distant, they are now drawing closer to her. And deep anticipations of delight, forever eager to be grasped and held, were never grasped, yet breathed strange ecstasy. So, he has used all the words. First you have got joy, then you have got rapture, then you have got delight, and then you have got ecstasy. where all ran after light and joy and love. She slipped, there far off rapture drew more close, and deep anticipations of delight, forever eager to be grasped and held, were never grasped, yet breathed strange ecstasy. Of course, it is not used the word felicity. Felicity has a slightly different shade. A pearl-winged indistinctness, fleeting spam. Now here you got pearl-winged indistinctness. Earlier we had hued, U-winged, U-winged. Now you got pearl-winged indistinctness. Now pearl-winged, see, this is a picture of kind of fancy, a gossamer, something like that, you see. And therefore you have got pearl here. You see as if pearls, all beautiful things all around like that, precious things. Indistinctness, fleeting spam. Indistinctness, partly again because it is a twilight world zone. It's not yet clear. The air that dared not suffer too much light, see, the air, poor air, cannot accept excess of light. Too much light, again, that indistinctness, too much light, they go together. And that is the picture of the twilight once more. You see, in the twilight, as if the air cannot take too much of light, cannot bear too much of light, as would the day. And then I got his famous lines. Vague fields were there, vague pastures cleaned, vague trees. We have seen this line earlier also in the context of the revision which has been made. Gleaned, instead of gleaned, gleamed, you see. Vague trees, vague scenes, dim-hearted in a drifting haze. Haze again goes along that pearl-winged, that haziness, that indistinctness, that mistiness. See, the whole picture is very consistent. Misty twilight, vague cattle, white roan glimmering through the mist. Oh, again he uses the word mist. Vague spirits wandered with a bodiless cry. Vague melodies touched the soul and fled pursued into harmonious distances unceased. We have seen last time, this is whatever be the reason or whatever, but the way here is most appropriate. Instead of rainy trees. It will become a jarring note if you put suddenly rainy in between. He is repeating vague purposely. Vague fields, vague pastures, vague trees, vague scenes, vague cattle, vague spirits, vague melodies. You see. Suddenly if you put rainy gone into harmonious distances unseen, forms subtly elusive and half luminous powers, wishing no goal for their unearthly course, strayed happily through vague ideal lands, or floated without footing, or their walk, left steps of reverie on sweet memory's ground, or they pace on the mighty measure of their thoughts, led by a low, far chanting of the gods. Chanting, I don't know if the gods chant, but here they do. Here they do chant. Led by a low, far chanting of the gods. Chanting the gods. What would be the kind of chant these gods would be chanting? About the beauty and the joy and the wonder of this twilight dream world. he'll be chanting that. How lovely this whole place is. And that is what this gods will be chanting. Chanting with the gods. What are they chanting? This one. What holiness all around. A ripple of gleaming wings cross. See, here now you have got gleaming wings. Earlier you had hue winged, then pearl winged, now gleaming wings. A ripple of gleaming wings cross the far sky. Birds like pale bosomed imaginations flew. So birds like imaginations are flying. With low disturbing voices of desire. Voices of desire. What are they desiring, these birds? Oh, the dawn has come. We are happy now. With low, disturbing voices of desire, and half-heard lowings drew the listening ear, half-heard lowing of cattle. Early morning, the cattle, the listening ear, as if the sun gods of brilliant kind were there. Sun gods of brilliant kind. Now, this is, of course, reference to Homeric kind. Helios, he is kind. He have got an Odyssey, gold bodied kind. Sun gods, brilliant kind, but they're not the actual kind. They are illusory kind. Hidden in mist and passing toward the sun. These fugitive beings passing away rapidly, transient. These elusive shapes were all that claimed the eye and met the soul, the neutral inhabitants of that world. They are there passing through the scene, as if they are untouched. They are not part of that whole thing. Therefore, neutral, therefore natural inhabitants of that world. But nothing there was fixed or stayed for long. Well, that is what he means by fugitive. That is what he means by elusive. Because they are elusive, they are fugitive. Nothing there was fixed or stayed for long. No mortal feet could rest upon that soil. No breath of life lingered embodied there. You cannot go and live there. Why killing? But nothing there was fixed or stayed for long. Okay. No mortal feet could rest upon that soil. No breath of life lingered embodied there. Yet, although this is the way in which things are there, that mortal feet cannot be there, no breath of life can stay there. Yet, here is Savitri, who is there. It does not apply to Savitri, she is above them. No mortal feet could rest upon that soil. Well, if you go strictly by that, it means that hers are not mortal feet. Although she has taken the human birth, she is walking to that place with immortal feet. No breath of life lingered, embodied there. Same thing. In that fine chaos, joy fled dancing past, and beauty evaded settled line and form. So, beauty normally has control shape, form. Particularly, beauty, line, and form. That is the entire basis of Western sculpture, line and form. The sculpture of a statue of anything is entirely based on line and form. You see. the Western concept of sculpture. And beauty evaded subtle line and form. There is a kind of a geometric fixedness in that beauty, line and form, and hid its sense in mysteries of you. It's dancing past. And its sense in mysteries of you. So the past is as if passing like colors to that. Yet gladness ever repeated the same notes and gave the sense of an enduring world. Because it is repeating constantly, therefore there is a sense of endurance, that it can endure, it can stay on, it can persist, it can continue. Same notes and give the sense of an enduring world. That is exactly what the word verse means, that it comes back on itself. I repeat, verse means the echo, the sound, the sense. When the rhymings are there in the lines, then it is coming back on a verse. And gave the sense of an enduring world. There was a strange consistency of shapes, and the same thoughts were constant passers by, and all renewed unendingly its charm, alluring ever the expectant heart, like music that one always waits to hear, like the recurrence of a haunting rhyme. So this example I was giving you. The rhyme, you are waiting for the rhyming word to come back when you are reading a poem. In music, you go through a particular octave, again repeat in a different manner. You repeat, you are coming back to that thing, waits to hear that note once more. Haunting rhyme, one touch incessantly, things never cease, a skirt of words invisibly divine, invisibly divine. You see, according to the general notions of poetic aesthetics, repetition of the same word in close proximity is considered as a fault. Not a very happy situation if you're going to repeat the same word very often in the same passage. But you see, here it does not apply that. You have enduring word, you have skirt of words, very close to each other, these two words, yet it doesn't hurt us aesthetically. Because the sense is different, the contents are different, the associations are different. Enduring word, skirt of word. What a beautiful phrase, skirt of word. It is that which makes this world different than enduring world. So it is not a flaw at all. It is a kind of a richness, if at all. Skirt of world, invisibly divine. Because it is invisible, therefore we will not speak about it. And of course it is divine also. But what is invisibly divine? It wants to be visible. It is not, you are not able to see it, but it wants to be visible. What it means. Invisibly divine. As if, now by the way, this whole passage, this vague passage, with half a dozen of wakes in it, is a typical example of the Homeric style in an epic. The elaborate description of a particular scene, that is what we have in Homer's epics. This is one of the finest examples of Homeric description in Savitri. He is purposely repeating it. Vague fields, vague pastures, vague trees, vague scenes, vague cattle. It goes on, the whole repetition is there in more than how many lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lines, a dozen lines, you see. A long description. To sustain such a description over such a length is something extraordinary. Homer's descriptions are long, they're long drawn similes, but not such long, running into 12 lines. In that fine chaos, joy fled dancing past, and beauty with a subtle line and form, and his sense in mysteries of you. Yet gladness ever repeated the same note. Yeah, we have seen that. One touched incessantly, things never cease, a skirt of words invisibly divine. As if a trail with disappearing stars, so the stars are disappearing, trail. When the star is falling, you see its trail and it disappears then. There showed upon the floating atmosphere colors and lights and evanescent gleam. Again, he says, this is the picture of fantasy, evanescent, they come and go away, of haze. That call to follow into magic heaven, so that is the jal, that is the illusion which is being called. And in each cry that fainted on the ear, there was a voice of an unrealized bliss. So you have got the bliss there, it has not been realized, but it is a magic cry of that. So again here, you see you have got gladness, you have got bliss, you have got, earlier we have seen 4, rapture, joy, delight. One is missing, bliss. Bliss has come somewhere already. And adoration reign in the yearning heart, a spirit of purity, an elusive presence of fairy beauty and ungrasped delight, whose momentary and escaping thrill, however unsubstantial to our flesh, and brief even in imperishableness, much sweeter seem than any rapture known. Earth or all-conquering heaven can ever give. Sweeter seem than rapture known, which no earth can give, no heaven can give. Whose momentary escaping thrill, again he has added thrill here. Earth or all-conquering heaven can ever give. Heaven, ever young, and earth, too firm and old, delay the heart of immobility. Delay the heart by immobility. It wants fixed permanently. That is the rock. Their raptures of creation last too long. Their bold formations are too absolute. Carved in anguish of divine endeavor, they stand up sculptured on the eternal hills, or quarried from the living rocks of God, win immortality by perfect form. Now that is the ideal, that is the dream, that a perfect form can win immortality. No, it is there, and is there. Their raptures of creation last too long, of heaven and earth. Caught by an anguish of divine endeavor. What a beautiful phrase this is. Divine endeavor is there, and it is out of that it has come up, you see. Bold formations. You see. Caught by an anguish of divine desire, their endeavor. They stand up sculptured. He is continuing the same picture of sculpture, line and form. They stand up sculptured on eternal bliss, or quarried from the living rocks of God, win immortality by perfect form. They are too intimate with eternal things, vessels of infinite significances. They are too clear, too great, too meaningful. No mist or shadow soothe the vanquished sight, no soft penumbra of incertitude. These only touch a golden hem of bliss. Now here you got bliss. So all that you have seen here is rapture, gladness, joy, ecstasy, all the things. They only touch a small little skirt, hem of bliss. The gleaming shoulder of some godlike hope, the flying feet of exquisite desire, flying feet of exquisite desires. On a slow brink between night and day. So this is early morning twilight, you see, between night and day. They shone like visitants from the morning star, the Venus, morning star. They shone like visitants from the morning star, satisfied beginnings of perfection, first tremulous imaginations of a heavenly world. They mingle in a passion of pursuit, thrilled with a spray of joy, too slight to tire. All in this world was shadowed forth. So, what she is seeing all around here, they're going through that region, and that world which is there around, it is in that world, all the joyous things only were cast like shadows, not limned like faces living on a fan of fire, or shapes of wonder in a tinted blur, like fugitive landscapes painting silver mist. Landscapes which go floating by, painting silver mist. It is kind of reminiscence of the Grecian vases where they have very beautiful pictures, Grecian vases. Vegetable landscapes painted and they become permanent. Here, vision fled back from the sight, alarmed. So when the sight is seeing all that thing, the vision flies back away, alarmed. Oh, what is it I am seeing here? Such beautiful, gleaming, nice, wonderful things around. And sounds sought refuge from the ears' surprise. The ear is also surprised the way they are moving and talking. And all experience was a hasty joy because it's passing quickly. The joy was here snatched by half forbidden things. Well, you cannot really see them. You may like to see them, but they're forbidden. Timorous soul bridles delicately veiled, as when a goddess bosom dimly moves to first desire, and her white soul transfigured, a glimmering hidden cross, a fairy gleam, trembles to expectation's fiery band. But nothing is familiar yet with bliss. So this is a picture of a bridal picture. She in the dress of a bride, and all the tapestry, all the decoration are the bridals of the bride. Joy's here was snatched for half forbidden thing, timorous soul, timorous obviously like a bride, delicately veiled. So she's putting the veil, you see. As when a goddess bosom dimly moves. So he has seen a goddess passing through that region and her bosoms are moving. Well, very, very precise picture also, very clear picture also. That is what a young bride would feel at that moment, you see. As when the goddess bosom dimly moves to first desire and a wide soul transfigured. What is her first desire? Her first desire is the union with her lover. And that is the white soul, and that the white soul is transfigured. Because normally the bridal dress is pure swan white. A glimmering Eden crossed by fairy gleams. Now here fairy, they put F-A-E-R-Y instead of F-A-I-R-Y, which is quite all right. Tremors expectations of fiery wind, but nothing is familiar yet with bliss. All things in this fair realm were heavenly strange. In a fleeting gladness of untired delight, in an insistency of magic change. Past vanishing hedges, hurrying hints of it, so they're going. Hedges, fields, mid swift escaping lanes that fled her feet, so they're moving really very rapidly there. Journeying, she wished no end because it's so lovely, so beautiful. Wished no end, and therefore hurrying. The whole idea is hurrying. It gives the speed of joy, that hurrying. As one through clouds travels upon a mountain ridge and hears rising to him out of hidden depth sound of invisible streams. So you are flying up from above, you are seeing the mountains, the clouds are covering the landscape, but you hear the sound of the streams. You hear sound. So I'm sure Shivandu must have seen this thing, experienced this thing in one of the mountains when he visited those places, maybe Darjeeling, maybe Kashmir, maybe Lonavala in Maharashtra. You are floating above, your train is going through the clouds, the hills, everything is fully covered, and yet you hear the murmuring sound of the waterfalls or the streams. Journeying, he wished no end, as though clouds travel through a mountain rich and hears. So the cloud is really means low cloud. It is passing through the mountain. And here, arising to him out of hidden depths, sound of invisible stream, because the streams are not seen here below. She walked besieged by the illusion of a mystic space, illusion of a mystic space. A charm of bodiless touches, felt and heard. A sweetness as of voice high and dim, calling like travelers upon seeking wind, melodiously with an alluring cry. So this whole picture is a picture of sound. This whole sentence is focusing on cry, sound, call, sound of invisible streams. As if a music old yet ever new, moving suggestions on her heartstrings dwell, thoughts that no habitation found, yet clung with passionate repetitions to her mind, desires that hurt not, happy only to live always the same and always unfulfilled, sang in the breast like a celestial lyre. So the whole image of sound continues, lyre, music, in both the sentences. Thus, all could last yet nothing ever be. Yes, this is a lovely world, beautiful world, happy world, melodious world, sweet world, but nothing ever be. And His beauty as of mind made visible, dressed in its rays of wonder, Satyavan, before us seemed the center of its charm, head of a loveliness of longing dream, and captain of the fancies of a soul. Now the whole spell is cast all around. Indrajal is spread. The black magic is thrown on Savitri as if a kind of magic is thrown on her spell. And therefore, in the spell, what does she see? The wonder of Satyavan. Oh, in His loveliness, in His melodious world, in His beautiful things all around here, my Satyavan, the captain of my life, my ship. So she imagines now, she feels that it is in this ideal world is her true Satyavan. That is a spell which is cast on her. So that is the great thing death has done on Savitri. She has spread such a spell on her that she imagines that this is the most lovely thing, most beautiful thing, and here is my Satyavan. In his beauty as of mind made visible. So she sees now everything becoming clear. Dressed in its rays of wonder, Satyavan before us seemed the center of his charm. He is the focus, he is the center. Everything is here around him. All this beauty is because of him. Before us seemed the center of his charm. Head of a loveliness of longing dream. Yeah, these are longing dreams. That my Satyavan will be the chief of such a beautiful world, captain. And captain of the fancies of her soul. She is very clear. Would Savitri fall prey to such a spell? He has cast the net. She sees now everything all on it. Vague fields, vague cattle, all those things, etc. Music, everything. And in that, she sees Satyavan standing very prominently, majestically, having full command of things around here. Will Savitri fall a prey to it? That is exactly what Indra does. When the aspiring rishi wants to go to Swarga, to Indra's world, he sends apsaras, damsels. Okay, enjoy them, live here. And then that means the vital spell is so powerful that you are dissuaded from your objective of reaching heaven, of true joy. You are dissuaded here. So here is there's a spell now. And Savitri is kind of being dissuaded to forget about all that she's standing for. She's insisting to have there. In this beauty as of mind made visible, dressed in its rays of wonder, Satyavan before us seemed in this beauty as of mind made visible. So basically, this beauty is an ideal created by mind. By mind. It is mind which has created this scene around her. It is the illusion of mind. She is imagining it that way. It is beauty as of mind made visible, dressed in its rays of wonder. Of course, they look wonderful, but they are not really wonderful. They are a spell. The way the magic deer had assumed the form to present itself to Sita in the forest. He was very beautiful, very dazzling, very charming creature, jumping merrily from place to place. A kind of a spell was cast on her mind and she lost all her senses. It is beauty as of mind made visible, dressed in its rays of wonder, Satyavan before us seemed the center of its charm, head of a loveliness of longing dreams, and captain of the fancies of her soul. Even the dreadful majesty of death's face and its somber sadness could not darken nor slay the intangible luster of those fleeting skies. So the spell was so powerful, so thick, so powerful, that even death's face could not suppress it. The shadow of death could not dim it. Somber sadness could not darken nor slay the intangible luster. So it was a really very powerful spell. Now, therefore, because even the dreadful majesty of death's face and its somber shadow could not darken nor slay. Even death's face could not do that. Would that mean that it is death who had cast that spell, which is more powerful than death? Death's shadow could not make it dim, and yet it is there. So, could it be death doing that? You follow the question? No? See, here he says very clearly, it's also beautiful, it's just a lovely, melodious, happy, glad, everything is there. That is a spell. And that spell could not be subdued even by the dark face of death. So if that spell could not be subdued by death, could that spell could be the creation of death? No.
Somebody else.
It has to be somebody else.
Yeah, who?
Who?
I don't know.
Death can intentionally make that.
Who?
Who made that spell then?
Yeah.
The desire of being.
No, there has to be a being making the spell.
It is the mystery of the void. It is that cause, the void.
Sorry?
The void.
Yeah, the void.
From where all this has come up. If death cannot subdue the spell, then it has to be somebody else than death to create a spell. So, when Savitri is going through those regions, she is passing through regions which are created not by death but by somebody else, although death is also passing through them.
But the void is the person.
Yes, it is the void which has created the spell.
But who is the person in the void?
Void. That itself is a personality. Void, that is a difficult thing, but that is what it is.
Void is the person.
See, in fact, he's going to say that. Who is going to do that? He's going to say also the somber shadow, sullen, implacable, made beauty and laughter more imperative. The shadow of the Supreme in the void made beauty and laughter more imperative. Enhanced by his grace, joy grew more bright and dear.
Yeah, now it becomes clearer. Yes.
Because of that grayness all around, it became brighter, it got enhanced, it grew more bright and dear. Enhanced by his grace, see the art of poetry. The correct form would be joy grew brighter and dearer. But then the poet is gone.
So the void is helping her.
A shadow, somber shadow
The somber shadow is helping her.
of the Supreme. It is He who has cast that shadow, that spell.
And the somber shadow is the void.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can put it that way.
Void.
Or the person, or one who is there behind the void. Basically, the point is death cannot dim that, darken that spell. So it has to be the creation not of death but somebody else who is stronger than death. And that is shadow. Where from it comes? The Supreme's own shadow in the void.
Wow, how did you find that out?
How did I find out?
Yeah, I would never thought about this.
But it's there.
The shadow is stronger than the death? Sure. The, yeah, sure, you didn't know 1 minute ago, you didn't know. Shadow is the supreme. The shadow is stronger than the death.
Yeah, it is He who has cast.
Yeah.
He has created the spell.
Yeah.
You see, the clue is here. It is death who is not going to darken that spell. The clue is here.
Why days is the like is
So then who is going to darken that? Who can darken that? Somebody who is more powerful than death. And that is somber shadow. Who is the somber shadow? The Supreme Himself who has, yeah,
That's what he said.
yeah, Supreme Himself as a shadow in the void. Sullen, implacable, made beauty and laughter more imperative. So we cry, we blame, what kind of God is this? But then it is that God in the form of a shadow here. It is He who has created this thing, maybe for a purpose. For a purpose.
Must be for purpose, otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Made beauty and laughter more imperative. See?
So actually what it says, the more we are depressed by that void, the more we have to actually make
The
magic
deeper and
laugh
deeper.
and be happy.
The deeper and deeper you go into the void, what you see? The Supreme Himself.
Yeah. But you are also getting more dark and more gray, and then you have to be more joyful.
You see another, yeah. Shiva, who is there sitting? What we have seen, four powers, no? The dragon, the sphinx, the knight, and rock, Shiva. Inertia. Who is there? The somber shadow, sullen, implacable, he is not satisfied with whatever you do. He is guarding the void. So, as I was telling you, this line, no? Yeah. Enhanced by His grace, joy grew more bright and dear. That is the perfect poetry. Joy grew brighter and dearer. You will get 0 marks. Is it true? Yeah. See, for two reasons. For two reasons. Enhanced by His grace, joy grew more bright and dear. See the rhythm. Enhanced, that is the I am, short, long. By His grace, short, long, anapist. Joy grew, spondy, very powerful. Both the words stressed. more bright. Well, I will not put so much of stress on more bright and dear. I am. Now, so that is the meter, very beautiful meter. If you put brighter and dearer, the meter changes. The rhythm changes. The rhythm changes. That is the poetic art. You see, normal English would demand that it should be brighter and not more bright. So, how alert you are to the poetic sense is important, and then you can kind of disregard grammar. Disregard grammar. That is one aspect of the rhythm. The other thing is, say, joy grew brighter and dearer.
More flat.
Is very flat. Why it is flat? Because brighter and dearer, both the words are ending with weak accent. Brighter, dearer. I want a powerful end at the end of the line. Emphatic end. Full stress should come on the vowel. So brighter will not do at all. Dearer will not do at all, you see. Because I want at the last syllable to be really stressed syllable. Enhanced by his grace, enhanced is an am. By his grace, short, long, is an anabist. Joy grew, both the stress syllables. Spondy, more bright and dear. See? More bright and dear. See, even this construction will not do. Enhanced by his grace, joy grew, more bright, more dear. That also won't do. It has to be and. It has to be and. More bright, more dear. Well, I mean, it is possible, but that won't do.
Too sweet. It's too sweet, more bright, more.
Yeah, it's possible, you see, yeah. Enhanced by his grace, joy grew more bright and dear. So the flow is beautiful there, you see. Continue. So these are the undertones of a poetic construction of rhythm. How they flow you can't say, but that is how they come up. Undertones. His dark contrast edging ideal side, his, whose is? Or is some more shadow? It is he. His dark contrast edging ideal side, deep and unuttered meanings to the heart. So, deep and unuttered meanings to the heart. Why all that? There is a meaning, there is a purpose, there is significance behind all that, and it is that significance which is justified by all these things. You are scared of darkness, you are afraid of it, you complain, you grumble, you cry, you weep. So what? There is a greater meaning behind all that. Enhanced by his dark contrast, aging ideals, deep and unuttered. It has not been expressed, but it is there. By saying unuttered, he has really uttered. He has really revealed the significance of it. What was supposed to be held back, he has loosened by saying unuttered. Unuttered meanings to the heart. Pain grew a trembling undertone of bliss. That is the beauty of it, you see. Yes, I am there. Trembling undertone of bliss. So it is not really pain, it is another form of bliss. You are not able to see it, feel it, sense it, because you have not developed your feelings, your sensitivities, your instruments of cognition, of understanding. But pain is another form of bliss, undertone of bliss. And transience, immortality is floating hem, you see. You call this world anityam nasokham. Gita says this world is anityam nasokham, anityam, transient and sorrowful world. Anityam, transient, asokham, sorrowful world. You call it transient and sorrowful world, but behind that there is the hem of immortality, a moment's robe in which she looked more fair, she, Savitri. So she is looking now really brighter than what she is. Because of this somber shadow, her full glow of divinity is becoming more powerful, more blazing, more visible because of this somber shadow. Anyway, she looked more fair, so she is already beautiful, but she is now more fair. Here also again, more fair is more important than fairer. She looked fairer. She looked, that will not do. Its antithesis, sharpening her divinity. So the contrast of shadow is against her divinity. In other words, divine as the shadow is seen by divine as the incarnate. So the incarnate divine looks more beautiful in the background of divine as a shadow, obviously. So you put a black cloth behind it and take a picture, it looks brighter, see. It looks brighter. Yeah. Yeah, like a night sky. The stars are bright because there is a night inside, because there is darkness. Otherwise, they won't be bright.
But that's our world of contrast.
Yeah, because we have not developed those faculties. That pain is an undertone of bliss. Pain is an undertone of bliss. We have not developed faculties.
It's easy to write it. It's easy to write it, but we have to live it.
Yeah. A comrade of the ray and mist and flame. Comrade of the ray and mist and flame. A comrade of the ray and mist and flame. What a line, see? By a moonlight's face, a brilliant moment drawn. So Savitri, as it is a kind of a moon there, and her face is drawn by that. By a moonlight face, a brilliant moment drawn. Almost she seemed a thought. So this comrade, who is comrade? She. She is the comrade. A comrade, that is she, is the she is the comrade of ray and mist and flame. By moonlight. So although it is passing through night, because it is a twilight, there is a moonlight also perhaps. Almost she seemed a thought with floating thoughts, seen hardly by a visionary mind, amid the wide inward musing to the soul, half vanquished by the dreamed happiness around. A while she moved on an enchantment soil. So that is the enchantment, that is the spell, that is the illusion, that is the indrajal of the black magic or the white magic, what do you want to call it? Which is cast on her. Enchantment is soil. But still remain, that is the point. Although there is a spell on her, she remains always the possessor of her soul. She never loses contact with that. In words, either death who is there in front of her, neither the somber shadow all around can suppress her soul. It remains. So, as long as your psychic is very alert, very powerful, you have absolutely no fear that you can go into the densest darkness and walk straight through that without any fear, without any difficulty. That is what the mother says. Still remain possessor of a soul. Still remain possessor of a soul. Still, because in spite of this powerful spell of this somber shadow, she remains possessor of her soul.
Is the void a synonym for the Maya?
It is a kind of mind. He says mind. It is the mind which has created Maya.
But what we call Maya is the mind.
Yeah, it's mind. Well, actually, it is an awful thing. It is not just mind, it is by itself there, black magic. Black magic, it's not mind, it is a thing. It belongs to the mental vital place. Now, still remain possessor of her soul. So you can see now, her soul to be weighed against the somber shadow. Yes, the somber shadow is there, but still her soul is in her possession. So although the Supreme Himself has taken that form, that Supreme is cannot dim her soul. Above her spirit is mighty trance. So while this is happening for human Savitri walking to the realms of above, the divine Savitri, the divine God, above her spirit in its mighty trance saw all but lived for his transcendent trial. Why all that thing? Because there is a task, transcendent task. This is a mission. The somber shadow has created all these things for a purpose, and that purpose has to be fulfilled. That is the transcendent task. Immutable, like a fixed, eternal star. She is firm, still firm, like a fixed, eternal star. The star which cannot be dimmed by any night, not even by the shadow. Eternal star, fixed star. That is pole star, what we see, fixed star. Pole star remains fixed, you see. This is the pole star. That remains fixed. So in spite of all these things everywhere here around, the cosmos, the entire universe may be speeding through light years and light years and light years, but a star remains fixed in the entire universe. The pole star. What we call in the Indian language is Dhruva Tara. Pole star is Dhruva Tara. Dhruva. Dhruva is the name of a person and the star is named after him. Dhruva Tara, fixed star. The story is a Puranic story. You want to hear it? See, his father, he was a king, Dhruva. He was a boy of maybe 5, 6, 7 years, 7 years old or so. His father had 2 queens. One was a fawn queen, the other one was all right, you see, she was there. Now, on one occasion, the father took this boy Dhruva on his lap. His stepmother, when she saw it, that this boy, not my son, but this boy is in the lap of the king, she understood that he is going to be the king tomorrow. He is going to be the king tomorrow. She didn't like it. She didn't want it that way. She wanted her son. So she snatched him away from his lap. And Dhruva felt very insulted, so to say, a young boy of 7 years. And then immediately he left the palace, went to the forest, and plunged into deep meditation. So, as usual, Narad passes by and sees this boy sitting there in meditation, doing tapasya. There, Narad gives him the mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That is the mantra given by Narad to Dhruva. And he repeats that mantra constantly. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudeva is all there. Let my salutations be constantly. All this is Vasudeva, Vasudeva, Vasudeva. That is exactly the experience Sri Aurobindo had in Alipur jail. Vasudeva experience. The all-pervasive Brahman, that is the Vasudeva, Narayana, Vasudeva, Vasudeva everywhere. That was the experience he had. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And he kept on chanting that mantra for 7 years continuously, that boy. At the end of 7 years, Vishnu was pleased and he appeared in front of him. Yes, here I am. Ask what you want. Dhruva said, no, I'm sorry, I don't want anything. That you have come and given me your darshan, that itself is sufficient for me. What else do I want? You have appeared in front of me. What else do I want? I don't want anything at all. You have given me your own darshan here. I don't want anything at all. But then Vishnu was in a puzzle. After having appeared in front of the devotee or the worshipper, he has to grant him a boon. He says, look, I can't go away without giving you a boon. I can't go away, so you have to ask me something. And then he said, give me a place in the world from where I will not be moved. I will not be moved. Moved. Taken away, shaken. I want to be here. I will be here always, permanently. Nobody will come and move me away from that place. Nobody will come and move me away from that. I was sitting in the lap of my father. Somebody comes and snatches. I want a place now here that nobody will be able to move me away from that place. For Vishnu, it was a very easy matter. You want a fixed place, all right, you will have a fixed place. The pole star.
Oh, I don't think he wanted that one.
Yeah, pole star. Pole star. So fixed star. So he got that position fixed. That is why we call it Dhruva Tara. Dhruva, that is the name of the boy. Tara means star.
What's he going to do there?
He says, I want fixed place, that's all right.
What's he going to do there?
Because I'll be always seeing you. I'll be always seeing you.
Oh no.
So, therefore, actually, that is what I have been telling you always, that you may worship a God. The God may appear in front of you. He will give you a boon and all that thing. Now the responsibility is actually more on you than on God. What kind of boon you want? You go to Samadhi and say, I want a fan. Okay? You want a fan? You want a fan? All right, chit is given. Go to the prosperity room, they will give you a fan. So that is what happens, you see. So it depends entirely upon the person who goes to samadhi, what exactly you want from the samadhi. What should they give you? So actually that is what needs the greatest tapasya, the yoga. To demand that kind of a boon which will really, really mean something. So for giving a position, fixed position like that was a very easy matter for Vishnu.
How disappointing.
Yeah, he wanted, okay, take it. He was a boy after all, you see. He was a boy after all. You see. He was a boy only, so it was all right, you see. This is a story narrated in Vishnu Purana. In Vishnu Purana. So that was so the basic responsibility is on us, what exactly we want from the giver of the boon. When Ashwapati goes to the divine goddess and prays to her, she says, look, you have come here, it's too early for you to come. Things will happen in the course of time. You go away, do your own tapasya, remain engaged, and do whatever best you can do for the world. Time will take care of everything. Don't worry, I am there, it's my creation. Nothing will happen there. Don't worry about it. But Ashwapati says, I am sorry, I am not going to accept your advice. I am going to demand something from you. I want something from you. And then he says, what I want is your incarnation in this world, in the mortal. You should come down in the mortal world. That is what he demands. That is the demand he is making. And she then condescends, agrees. Now it is such a yogic demand that she can't refuse. She, after having appeared in front of him, she has to give what he wants. What he wants, you see. He wants, please come down. Well, she is helpless. She has to come down. She comes down as Savitri. One should say, oh, the Sandra. She comes down, you see. So it entirely depends upon when you are worshipping, you are doing puja, whatever it is, it depends upon what kind of fruit you want from that. It is important. In fact, it means that you have to start all your puja, your tapasya, your yoga, or your sadhana, whatever you want to call it, with a purpose in your soul, not in your mind, in your soul. And then build up everything around it, about it. And it is that which will be fulfilled. The mother, right from her childhood, she demanded only one thing from the Divine Lord. The divine manifestation upon earth. That is all I want. That is all I want. And then, of course, she has to prepare for all that long. But right from her childhood, that is her demand. Lord, let your will be done in this creation. That is demand. So that needs tremendous yogic capacity to build up your own aim. See, that is important. Once that is understood, then things start moving in that direction. Every kind of help is then given to you. Above her spirit, in its mighty trance, so the Supreme Savitri saw all, this whole panorama, but lived for his transcendent task, immutable, like a fixed, eternal star.